Kelly, who you see.
Is this your first
in that picture,
space launch?
Absolutely honored to get the U.S. back in the launch business, and we'll talk to you in orbit. So yes, they are ready to go. What you've been hearing from the SpaceX folks is that they are pressurizing the tanks, and as you see, the liquid oxygen still going into stage 2, as you mentioned, Chris.
Hey,
We are very close
started.
To hear launch control.
and they have actually chilled the engines too.
I'd like to bring in Christian Davenport now. Christian, the launch is just the first milestone. Give us some perspective on what still has to happen before we can call this launch a success.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, we still got a lot of milestones to go. We're focused on the launch. That's obviously a huge deal. But once that booster goes up, it's going to burn its first stage engines for about 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Sounds like they're moving along there. Then you're going to have the first stage and second stage separate. That second stage will light its engines, propel the spacecraft into orbit. That first stage will come back down. And as you can hear, they're
Stage 1, launch load, close
and they're
out.
moving into terminal count, and they're closing out the propellant load. So, Chris, they're really moving ahead. And once we're going to see that, a series of rapid events going very quickly. But once it takes off, let's remember there's still a lot of milestones, that those gates that David was talking about earlier, that they're going to have to clear before we fully call this a successful mission, Chris.
Well, launch control
Vehicle is
sounds pretty
transitioning
calm
to
and
internal
collected.
power.
So do Bob and Doug. They look cool, calm, and collected. My heart rate's going up. My palms are sweaty. The one guy on our team who probably is cool, calm, and collected also is Mike Massimino. Mike, please weigh in on what Bob and Doug are going through just 2 minutes away from launching into orbit.
I think they're getting pretty excited.
Don't you see what?
Kind of feeling it myself. I think
No.
that
Ain't none of
they're
your
getting
business.
really close now. They can feel it coming. When those engines
Stage
light,
2,
they're
launch
going
load
to
is
be
closed out.
what we call powered flight.
Not rain.
Huh? What is it?
And powered
I don't
flight
know.
will last about 8
Right.
minutes. Those are some very special moments in one's life when you have that going, when you have that rocket burning below you. Once that last engine, the second stage, shuts off and everything gets quiet, and they're in weightlessness, that's when we can say it's a successful launch. We're looking forward to that time. But those 8.5 minutes, we need to really pay attention.
Thank you, Mike. And once again, as Mike said earlier in our show, they will be accelerating from 0 to 17,500 miles an hour in only 8 minutes. It's truly mind-boggling, that thrust, that 1.8 million pounds of thrust. As we get down to 1 minute, we're going to lay out, we're going to listen to launch control communicating with Doug and Bob.
Falcon 9 is in startup. Ready to connect. FTS is armed for launch.
You've heard it all there. They are armed for launch. The fueling is done. Now 45 seconds comes.
Right, SpaceX, go for launch.
That is the launch director. They are ready to go. We are
Whenever
getting very
it gets
close
to
to
10,
T-minus
count down
30
to 10.
seconds.
Got it?
And you will hear
Got
a
it.
number of
Got
You got 30 seconds.
instructions to them
20,
once we
27,
take off.
26, 25.
Space Launch Lot, first time in nearly a decade, American astronauts on an American spacecraft
Stage 1,
launching
seven,
from an American source.
Start counting down. 13,
And here
12,
comes the countdown down.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Boom!
Attempt number 1 failed.
This ain't the first time it has ever launched.
Look, Bryson, look how fast they're going.
I wouldn't go that fast in a car. Let's spin. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Why? What's following me?
And 1D throttle down.
They're at 800 miles an hour.
Call is because they are getting ready for the most aerodynamic stressful part of this flight. So they take the power down just slightly.
miles per hour mark. That's
I wouldn't go that
641
fast.
miles per hour.
Why?
So the vehicle is supersonic.
And what is groundwater?
Oh.
Throttling up. There's max Q, the max aerodynamic pressure peak, the most mechanical stress on the rocket. As I look up, and we can still see the orange glow, and I tell you what, it took 5 seconds for the vibration and sound from that liftoff to affect this here. You can still see it.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
straight up,
They're letting
almost
you
straight
see
up, even
inside
though
of it.
they're pointing a
The
little bit
camera turned
downrange
off.
now.
Start that back engine chill.
Approaching rapidly 3,000 kilometers per hour. That is 1,864 miles per hour.
And Chris, while you see that plume
Chris,
coming
I
out
can
of the
still
back
see
expanding, that's because there's not as much atmospheric pressure on it, so that's why it expands out like that. And we are getting, that first stage engine's gonna fire for about another 20 seconds, 23 seconds.
And Christian, that is really a step that we want to pay attention to, that separation of the first stage that will then return back to Earth.
And we're going to get very busy here in about 5 seconds. You're going to see Nico, the main engine cut off, and then you're going to see the separation. And we're standing by for that.
Eco. Stock and stage separation confirmed.
So the main shut down, and you see separation there too. That
And
is
back
the first
ignition.
stage falling away.
See also
Now
down
the
the
second
second
stage is
stage
the 5.
into stage 2. We're now approaching 7,000 kilometers per hour, which is 4,049 miles per hour.
Now the thing to watch now, Chris, is that first stage. It's going to be
nominal.
That means that's good news. That's the rocket that's still on the Dragon, is doing its job, moving these guys into an orbit that'll put about 200 kilometers below the space station. And you can actually see that second photo. It's great to see inside. There's the triple screen of the 2 astronauts. The Dragon and the Falcon are basically, actually it's the second stage now, are on autonomous
No one
power.
else
But
is
Chris,
following it.
we really want to pay attention to that
It's
first
already
stage.
separated.
As Davenport says, it's a secondary mission.
That first part.
To watch it land on that ship out in the Atlantic.
Quickly
What he
approaching
said, I
8,000
guess.
kilometers per hour, which is nearly 5,000 miles per hour. They are really moving. Bob and Doug appearing very, very cool, calm, and collected in the Dragon Castle. Amazing to get that live shot of what they're experiencing right now. I want to bring in Mike Massimino. Mike, take us through what Bob and Doug are going through.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
They are so well trained for this, Chris. They've had countless simulations, played everything, every emergency possible. They're just looking and looking and hoping and praying that everything's going well. It looks like it is. I know that first stage, we're going to be excited to see that, but the world that Bob and Doug are living in is just making sure that that engine is continuing to burn, that they're still on the right trajectory. All the systems are looking good, and it looks like they are. As we see them just watching, that's probably a good sign. That means all the automatic sequences are working well. We don't hear too much chatter coming from the control center, from MCC. That's a good thing too.
Almost to 10,000.
And when you hear that word nominal,
Go ahead, Mike, I'm sorry.
when you hear that word nominal coming, no, it's fine. When you hear that word nominal, that's always good. That's the NASA jargon for everything is A-OK. We're looking good, just like we expect. So we want to keep hearing that for a few more minutes and get those engines cut and get them in space safely.
And there's that 10,000 kilometers per hour threshold, which is just over 6,200 miles per hour. And the picture on the right, I have to keep reminding myself that that's a live shot. It looks like the greatest science fiction movie ever produced. It's just so fantastic that the launch was a go today and has been a success so far. Really, really amazing stuff. David Curley, what's the feeling like on the ground? Are you seeing the first stage rocket at all coming back?
Not yet. You can see it. It's got about another 3 minutes until it'll do its entry burn, and there are 9 Merlin rocket engines on them.
Trajectory.
They say everything is normal with their trajectory, meaning they're heading onto the right path to try and get on the effort to catch up to the space station. So you're seeing in the first stage, you can see those grid fins that you mentioned, Chris Jacobs, that will help guide it. But at 8:45, so plus 8:45, coming up in about 2 minutes, you'll see 3 of those 9 engines fire to slow it down. The first stage doesn't have any of that protection when it comes back into the atmosphere. So the way they overcome that is by firing the engines and slowing it down enough that when it re-enters the atmosphere, it won't burn up. And it'll be a 34-second burn of that entry stage of those 3 engines to bring us in. And seeing some of these pictures of Doug and Bob in the capsule is just remarkable. We haven't seen a lot of American astronauts fly.
Propulsion is still good.
And just to clarify, that picture on the left is the Stage 2 rocket propelling the Crew Dragon capsule. The picture on the right is actually the Stage 1 Falcon 9 rocket returning to Earth. So those are actually moving in opposite directions as we pass the 15,000 kilometers per hour mark, which is approaching 9,400 miles per hour.
You know, Chris, SpaceX would love to get this booster back. And as we mentioned earlier, they learn a lot when they get these rockets back and take a look at them, but it is secondary. That's the picture on your left. The second stage, as Massimino said, that's what you want to burn. You want that burn to go exactly as it should on the right trajectory. This was an instantaneous launch. They had to go at the right time. There's your start of your entry burn on the right. You see that? It's a little bit early, but they're coming.
Falcon 9 rocket is.
So this is the
gonna
power.
be in space.
Mhm.
Yeah, this slows it down. This is going for about 35
They're
seconds.
going
So
to the
just to
space
slow it
station.
down. If you watch those grid fins, you can start to see them kind of move, and that's what keeps this, as we heard earlier in one of the pieces, you know, landing a pencil, that's what keeps it north and south or up and down as it's coming down back in.
Look, Bryson,
into
they're
land.
20,600 miles an hour.
Start to move.
21,000 mile an hour.
Nearly
So that burn is over. The next thing we're going to
You
see.
would crash and die. 'Cause
Oh wait, those are kilometers an
we're gonna
hour.
see that at 9:27.
Those
Everything's good, they say. That's what
But you would lose control.
those are the reports from Mission Control. So coming up in about a minute, we'll see the final burn. And as Davenport has told us before, you don't always get to see the landing because you got a camera that's getting shaken, and you know this is a rocket actually that's coming back. There, you lost the picture. That's kind of what happened.
It'd be 14.
And there's the 25,000 kilometers per hour, which is 15,534 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So again, continuing to accelerate as they make their way to
And
orbit.
back throttle step. And back shutdown.
There's the second stage engine cut off right there. And that will be
That's
jettisoned
good news,
soon
Chris.
as well.
That means that they've got their.
SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
There they go.
Launch escape system is disarmed.
That's great news. And that's even better news. So they're in
It's
the orbit they're supposed
27
to be. Just de-armed.
1,000
Escape
kilometers
system.
an
They are where
hour.
they're supposed to be at the right time. And in a couple of minutes, we'll see separation of the Dragon and loss of that second stage. That's really good news. And Chris, you asked a little bit about the atmosphere down here. There were some people here, even though they didn't open the gates, who were applauding as that Falcon 9 took off and really rattled our chests.
And it looks like Falcon 9 has returned successfully to that drone ship. Just amazing, amazing technology that quickly, in under 10 minutes, that Falcon 9 rocket has propelled Doug and Bob into orbit and has returned safely to its drone trip. I mean, hats off to SpaceX for developing that technology. Truly incredible. Now, Mike Massimino, if you'd like to
Sorry, I
weigh in
wasn't
at
paying attention.
if you'd like to weigh in at this stage, Mike Massimino, Bob and Doug now, you can see they're experiencing weightlessness. They're breaking out their mementos that they brought from home. What are they experiencing right now?
Utter
Y'all
joy
said that
is
good
what
for
it is, and
you.
I'm very happy for him. This is great coverage. Those cameras we have, that's another advancement. We didn't have those cameras in the shuttle program. We had we used to call it a lipstick camera. One camera we mount on the back of one of the flight engineers, and that's all you had. Now we've got them all over the vehicle, inside the cabin, outside, on the rocket. It's just a wonderful experience we all can share, but they are feeling utter joy. They are euphoric. They are sublime. They are really happy that they got through that launch system, through that launch sequence. They're really happy to be in orbit and to bring the United States back. Both of these guys are military officers. Bob from the Air Force, Doug a Marine. They are so happy to have done this from American soil again. It's a great day, not just for the United States, but for the whole world, to have the capability to launch from the U.S. again with people inside. And they are just so proud and so grateful that so many people made this possible for them to be a part of. And so they're happy that they're there, and they're proud of being on the team, and they are very, very grateful for what we've done for them. And all of us can be proud of what we've done.
Mike, just 11 and a half minutes into their 19-hour journey, so a lot longer to go before they reach the ISS. What do they do now for the next 18 hours and 50 minutes?
Yeah, they get ready. They have to transfer to an orbital stage. We used to call it post-insertion. I'm sure they still call it the same thing. There's usually no rest for the weary. There's plenty of things to do. They're going to have to set up their cockpit so they can get ready to do their rendezvous. They're probably going to get some rest coming up here, I would think, before they do rendezvous at the final rendezvous and docking. They'll probably maybe get something see how they're feeling. That's the other thing. It's been a while since either of these guys have been in space. It's been almost 9 years, and Bob maybe just a little bit longer than that. I was a captain for his last flight. So they've got to get their space legs back. And sometimes you don't feel as well as you'd like when you're first on the strap because your body's getting used to it. Your vestibular system is not working any longer. But I think these guys will probably be just fine. So hopefully they're feeling well. They'll get what they can done. Continue with the checklist. Get right into it right away. And there's probably not much rest. If it's anything like it was with the show, I'm sure it is. They still have to go right into the orbital phase as soon as they can.
Now, Mike, we just heard from Launch Control that they confirmed Dragon separation, meaning that stage 2 has now been jettisoned from the capsule. So these guys are truly autonomous now in the capsule. It's a self-propelling capsule, self-driving capsule, but these guys can also control it. They're going to be doing that along the way to the International Space Station, correct?
Out of you guys and the rest of the team.
Yeah, especially for this flight.
Thank you so much for what you've done for us today, putting America back into low Earth orbit from the Florida coast.
Maybe I'm dumb.
Copy out. Goodbye. Godspeed.
We just heard Doug and Bob communicating with Launch Control, giving them their thanks. Launch Control, of course, responded.
Dragon SpaceX, we confirm nominal equals activation and service section Draco checkout. Nose cone deploys in progress.
Now they mentioned that
Chris,
the
I can tell you
nose cone deploy there is in progress. The nose cone will actually open up, and that will help them with navigation on their way to the ISS. I'd like to bring in Adam Savage. I know he is chomping at the bit to get in on this. He is our resident space nut on our team. Adam, please weigh in with your thoughts. I know you've got to be excited about this.
It's such an amazing thing to witness. I mean, the engineering achievement, the collaboration, the cooperation between SpaceX and NASA, Bob and Doug. I mean, the euphoria they're feeling and that Mission Control is feeling, it's rubbing off because I'm feeling it too. It is incredible. Every single nut and bolt on that spacecraft and these rockets was sweated over by a human being, making sure that it was right and correct. And the fact that those guys are now in orbit is a testament to the dedication of all those people. It's really thrilling.
Adam, you look like you're ready to jump on a space shuttle and get right after those guys. I love the costume change. That's amazing. I also
Send
want
me
to
your
bring
coach. I'm ready to go.
You are ready, man. You are no longer on the bench. You are on the starting lineup. I want to bring in Mark Robert, who I'm sure wants to weigh in on this too. Mark, your experience as a NASA engineer gives you unique perspective on this. Please tell us your thoughts.
I mean, I feel like I've had chills for like a solid 2 hours. I know what it takes. Like Adam said, every nut and bolt.
They're already in space.
There's every little detail.